Well, William, if you want to go outside, go outside. The inner courtyard is all yours.
I've no need for the inner courtyard, Agatha. Although I appreciate the fact that I can. I demand my freedom, despite of not utilizing it. But if you'd open the front door, however, it would be much appreciated, no?
I must insist. Our imprisonment is but an illusion, my friends. Freedom is in the mind rather than environmental.
That's absurd.
I agree. It is but decorating chains with flowers.
Quite effective, the treatment, I hear. Well, right this way, Miss.
Detective Inspector Watson.
I'm sorry to say, Harrison Baker is no longer with us. He took his life in a very successful suicide attempt.
Suicide? Preposterous.
This unfortunate event.
Suicide? Immoral?
Having had my creeping suspicions about his feelings.
For some people, taking your own life should be considered a moral act. The consequences would be nothing but positive.
But it's not about the consequences. It's about the principle of the matter. Not unlike homosexuality. What if everyone did it?
If you allow yourselves to trust us, we can help.
Morality is an end by itself. And God
We can set you free.
is the only way happiness reaches its proper destination. In this world or the next.
Taking your own life.
So it is about the consequences then.
This just goes to prove that we cannot be too reluctant with our diagnosis.
If it were suicide, and I'm not saying it is, it would be nothing more than the outcome of a complex and inevitable set of circumstances, and God has no business judging that.
Inevitable. Dear boy, we're not machines. You are free to do what you choose.
Are we though? Because you are causing me to release quite a bit of adrenaline, which could lead to me giving you a good smacking.
Well, you're free to do what you will.
But not to will what I will.
All irrelevant. The windows to the tower were closed.
I wanted to let you know that the windows of the tower were closed.
And although they were not locked, I do not believe Harrison could have closed them after taking his own life.
I do not believe that Harrison closed them after taking his own life.
Suicide is unlikely.
And an accident is out of the question.
What are you implying it is, then?
Murder.
I highly doubt that anything as drastic as murder could have occurred under my supervision.
More than several doors were unlocked, and there is no way of knowing which ones were and which ones weren't.
I don't much appreciate that tone, miss. Now, may I kindly request you to leave me to my work?
Very well, but I'll be needing everyone for questioning.
Fine.
What kind of moodly-minded measle-headed... If you propose then the world is just a no play of blows, then, by definition, the murderer is no less guilty than the victim. His death! Which means you have no business to judge anyone either.
How's that effective treatment going?
Effective treatment.
Right.
I must have been in solitary at the time. But I'm not sure. One tends to lose track of time there.
That must be awful. What did you do to be put in solitary?
I asked for it.
I'm sure you didn't ask for it. What was
No. I quite literally asked for it. Solitary is the best place to be cut from all stimuli. The best place to, independent from the world, come to true ideas about it. Maybe we could withdraw from the world to search the a priori ideas for the murderer you seek.
Well, I don't know about this one, but I was asleep. He could be guilty, although if he were, I, by our similarity, would be too, I suppose. Stop that! Lemon butter pie, he's hopeless.
Schizoid and narcissistic personality disorder.
Schizoid is correct. I am by no means narcissistic, though I admit I cannot agree with those who rank modesty among the virtues. To a logician, all things should be seen exactly as they are. To underestimate one's powers is as much of a departure from the truth as to exaggerate them.
And what would be your powers?
I can tell you are a detective inspector.
Oh.
You have been for at least 3 years since the accident that brought on your limp through no fault of your own. You have a relative, now deceased, who suffered from Parkinson's disease. You own a small dog, but you're not very affectionate with it. You are dedicated to your job, but you don't get out much, and you may be suffering from obsessive-compulsive disorder.
Who told you this?
You did. Your cane tells me you've been with the Metropolitan Police at least 3 years, for that is when they stopped giving those out. You were injured in a situation out of your control, because if you weren't, you would not have been awarded with anything.
The devil is in the details, I suppose.
The devil?
Never mind, do carry on.
You have dog hair on your trousers, but only at the bottom, suggesting you own a small dog. Now, considering that there is no hair on the cuffs of your blouse or anywhere else, I assume you don't pet it very much, if at all. Your skin is paler than most detectives, except at the hands and head, suggesting that when you do go out, it is for the job only. Obsessive-compulsive disorder is just a guess, but when I came in the room, I left the door ajar. And you have been having difficulties not gazing at it ever since. This certainly suggests obsessive, but perhaps not compulsive, since you have not acted upon it.
What about my father's Parkinson?
Ah, the father. Your pocket watch is too old and likely too costly for you to have purchased. You see these many scratches round the hole where the key slipped. His unsteady hand left those traces, add old age and, well, Parkinson's.
That's amazing. Why are you here?
Is that relevant?
Well, I suppose not. Can you use those powers to say anything about Harrison?
Unfortunately, very little. You see, uniforms tend to hide more than they reveal.
Did you notice anything out of the ordinary? I mean, more than usual.
John took the habit of walking backwards. Other than that, nothing.
I suppose you infer what had happened. You have nothing to calm but closed windows.
The ash. Last night, Ernest and I attempted our escape from House of Thought. Harrison was in charge of locking the rooms. He was to have left open most of the locks, as Ernest, a friend of his, requested. Therefore, the problem of not knowing who was about the night of the murder, well, we are partly to blame. In the tower, you must have missed the ash. To be more precise, the ash from Harrison's cigar. You see, the tower is not part of his routine, suggesting...
I was waiting for something.
Precisely. Fantastic little mystery, is it not?
Are you saying you find this exciting?
Very much so. It's a peculiar little puzzle, most stimulating. You think so too?
Pardon me?
When you were examining the scene of the crime, you were excited, and just now the addition of another lead distracted you just enough to forget your cane. Psychosomatic, perhaps, but you enjoy this, Miss Watson? Just as much as I do.
Not at all. Free will is an aspect of the soul, which is not part of this natural and determined world.
Aren't you just relocating the problem, though? What about children or the mentally handicapped? Do they not have souls? Or do you mean to say their freedom is supernaturally underdeveloped?
I assume you heard of our little escape attempt, and now you are going to interrogate me.
That's right.
But considering I don't know anything of value, this will be a very unpleasant experience to the both of us.
Tell me, old chap. I cannot deduce why it is you were walking backwards. I must know.
Insanity is a bodily disease in which the mind is more or less profoundly disturbed. The mind is not in itself ever diseased. It is incapable of disease, or of its final consequence. Death.
Gain my freedom. How does one gain one's freedom whilst walking backwards, I wonder?
Well, perception is everything, is it not? You perceive matters a certain way, I perceive them differently. Third party may not agree with either of us. Perhaps there is no single objective truth to which we all subscribe.
You know, I'm determined.
I know you are.
To find the one responsible.
How can any of us be responsible if we are determined to do what we do?
But if knowledge of things in the external world can affect your choices, does that not imply a mechanism? Oh, and if the mechanical is the enemy of freedom, you could claim Albert there is the freest of us all because nothing seems to affect him. But then again, he can't even go to the bathroom on his own.
Did you have any knowledge of enemies Harrison might have had?
No.
I believe I'm locked in because I see walls, but that is just my subjective experience. To escape this place, I must free myself from the walls of my perception.
Did you and Harrison had any differences?
No. See, I told you this was going to be very unpleasant.
causal. I see.
He must have been much more ill than I thought.
Did he tell you?
No, but I'm the head of a mental institution. I can't help but notice a few signs.
Well, if it's all the same to you, I'd just like to grab his things and go.
Ah, Inspector, I'm glad you're here.
Are you supposed to be here?
No, but no matter, Watson. I am pleased to inform you that I managed to obtain this very particular item.
Well, it certainly is a nice hat.
I find it most instructive, and I should be glad to have a friend with whom I can discuss my findings. You know my methods. What can you gather as to the individuality of the man who wore this article?
It's an eloquent little hat, but a little worse for wear. Initials. HB. So presumably, Harrison Baker. It's pierced in the brim for a hat secure, but the elastic is missing. It's cracked, exceedingly dusty, and spotted in several places, although there seems to have been an attempt to hide the discolored patches by smearing them with ink. What do you infer from it?
That he was fairly well-to-do within the last 3 years is obvious upon the face of it, and though he has recently fallen upon leaner days, he has nonetheless retained a degree of self-respect. He had foresight, but has less now than formerly, pointing to a moral retrogression which, taken with the decline in his fortunes, seems to indicate a distrusting influence. Normally I would assume alcohol, but in the 3 weeks he's been here, I have never seen him under the influence. Whatever his problem was may indicate the fact that his wife has ceased to love him.
My dear William, you jest. I don't see how you can know all that.
To the contrary, Watson, you can see everything, though you are too timid in drawing your inferences.
How, for example, can you deduce his decline in fortune?
This hat is 3 years old. These flat brims curled at the edge came in fashion then. It is of the very highest quality, with a band of ribbed silk and excellent lining. If this man could afford such an expensive hat 3 years ago and has not had a new hat since, well, then he has certainly gone down in the world.
Clear enough. But what about the foresight and a moral retrogression?
There is your foresight. These are not sold upon hats. Ordering one indicates a certain amount of foresight, since he went out of his way to take precaution against the wind. The fact that he has not replaced the elastic since it is broken indicates that he has less foresight now than formerly. Distinct proof of a weakening nature.
But he also endeavored to conceal some of these stains upon the field by daubing them with ink, which is a sign that he's not entirely lost his self-respect.
Very good, Watson. Now, look at this dust. This is not the brown, gritty dust of the street, but the gray, fluffy dust of the house, indicating that this hat was hung inside most of the time. These moisture marks on the inside are proof positive that the wearer perspired freely. Therefore, he could hardly be in the best of training.
What about his wife? You said she'd ceased to love him.
This hat has not been dusted for several weeks. When I see a married man, dear Watson, with a week's accumulation of dust upon his hat, and his wife allows him to go out in such a state, I fear that he is unfortunate enough to have lost her affection. But now, the cause of that disruption, I do not know.
I see. I surely have to urge against these meetings, Miss Watson. Our patients need their rest. Come along, William.
That's classified information.
I need to know everything that has been going on here. At least sign these documents for a polygraph.
Listen, I don't much appreciate being treated as a machine to be measured.
Oh, and yet you pathologize for a living.
It's entirely different.
Treating unnatural habits, whether they are harmful or not.
Man cannot simply go against his instincts. And if his instincts are wrong, then they must be corrected.
You have a pretty dim view of cognitive freedom.
May I remind you, miss, that you have a pretty slim view of cognitive anything.
I have more than a clear view of regulations there, and your asylum seems to be lacking. Living conditions are poor. You're the sole doctor responsible for everybody's diagnosis, and this building, well, it's well on its way of falling apart. This place is more like a poorly run prison than an asylum. It's in disorder.
You seem unusually agitated, miss.
Yes, dear. If you want, we can give you something to calm down.
No.
This is more than the usual dose.
I know, William, but everyone is a bit too excitable in these times. Take your pills. Thank you.
Been bumping into unperceived walls there again, mate?
That's unfair. You can really only say that A, I've acquired bruises, and B, tried to escape. Just because both A and B are both the case doesn't infer a causal link between them.
Check, mate. Stop that.
Why the pipe?
Whenever you disappear in thoughts, you form your hand as if holding one. So I figured.
Old habits. Indeed. Many thanks. I shall save this for when the reflecting need is greatest. Carry on.
The files didn't say much. Sections were crossed out. Godric is having experimental treatments on Jean. Conditioning.
Planning to psychoanalyze me?
Nothing so grave. But I find some of its techniques very helpful. I found another file.
My sister's, I presume.
Yes. She was your elder.
Yes.
She was admitted for depression.
Yes. She was superior in observation and deduction. Sadly, Myra lacked ambition and energy. I admitted myself to House of Thought, hoping I could free her. Unfortunately, before I got the chance,
She was lobotomized.
her mind was lost, and soon after her body went with it.
I'm very sorry.
I'd like to return to the disruption between Harrison and his wife. Godric seems to think he had a mental problem. No surprise there. But she appeared to agree with him. I think he very well might have been homosexual.
Well, you can't really
I'm
defend.
not passing any judgment myself, Watson.
But others might. Such as Godric.
Possibly, but it is a capital mistake to theorize before one has data. Insensibly, one will twist facts to suit theories rather than theories to suit facts.
Still, it shouldn't be too difficult to find evidence.
I've got things to do.
And I've got a warrant.
Here you are, dear.
Oh, thank you, sir. So, where were you on the night of Harrison's murder?
If it was murder.
Where were you on the night of Harrison's death?
I believe I was in my bed.
So you have absolutely nothing to do with his death?
No.
You just happened to start an experimental treatment before the accident?
That's privileged information. And anyway, it's absolutely irrelevant.
But those are people's lives. You can't just do whatever you want with it.
I'm sorry, sir, but she seemed awfully adamant to get evidence against us.
Yes. She is deeply troubled. You did well, Agatha.
Thank you, sir.
I think it's best if we try to contain this charade of hers.
Ernest, will you join us in our escape? Ernest, will you join us in our escape?
You propose me a choice, but I have none. All is predetermined.
How can you know it's not predetermined for you to escape?
Doesn't feel like I will. We roll wherever the world chooses to throw us. Nothing is avoidable.
Certain things are avoidable. For instance, I can avoid getting hit in the face.
That's not a choice. That's instinct.
See the value of abstract thinking. We can deduce danger and avoid a more complex type of harm. We aren't free from determinism, but our deterministic nature can free us from harm's way. And if my predictions are correct, we shall be free of this place as of tonight. Now, how free must your free will be for you to stop living like a rock?
It's still predetermined.
Okay, and the actual problem is? Now, watch.
This is disgusting. Does it confirm your theory?
Almost. I believe it was John that pushed Harrison.
No, but Godric is the bad.
But John is not the one responsible. Follow me. Observe. There.
I'm afraid I do not infer.
On the night of our escape, Harrison was to leave open most of the locks. But this was not the first time. You see, John and Harrison would habitually meet up in secret in the abandoned tower.
Acting upon their homosexual nature.
Yes. That night, however, John's conditioning set in, forcing him to push away Harrison. And as he pushed him out of the window, he pushed him out of sight.
And out of his perception.
Let us depart. John cannot be blamed for the conditioning because it was not in any way his choice. Neither is his mental defect.
No homosexuality, you mean?
Alzheimer's. Again, not passing any judgment. What? Go.
We have to do something about this.
We are doing something. We're escaping this place. We're avoiding harm. If a moral act is preventing harm to increase joy, then this, if you will, can be considered a moral act.
Yes, but if we have the capacity of deducing dangers from a possible outcome, it creates a rational responsibility for the consequences. The same responsibility House of Thought ignored and led to all this. This is a place of harm, and more has to be avoided, William.
I must agree. The logic is sound. Wait here.
Excuse me, sir. I fear I must tell you the doors of the asylum are unlocked.
Oh, well, lock them then.
Yes, but the keys... It appears they, in fact, all of them have been stolen overnight.
Are you thinking what I'm thinking?
The similar structure of our brain would suggest so, but pray communicate it nonetheless.
I'm thinking it a very real possibility that grave dangers lie behind this very door.
Might I point out that it is equally possible for there to be nothing but grave pleasures?
So you see, Pierre, it is God who has no business judging us. Free will isn't anything supernatural or absolute. It's rather practical, even.
Aha, but equally possible yet is that...
Well, thank God for that.
Thank William.
Quite roomy. I like the view.
So, what are you planning to do with your newfound freedom?
I think I shall lock myself in. Read up on things.
Well, you make quite a detective.
I highly doubt working by another's methods under a supervisor would suit me terribly.
A consulting detective, perhaps.
Consulting detective? Is that an existing position?
Not officially, but you could be the first one.